Welcome to ChiSquared and Crosstabs. We're going to start with the ChiSquared, and it's a very simple process. It has the same properties as, say, the independent sample t-test. It can be run as a one sample t-test, and you're basically looking at two separate variables, and you're looking for the relationship between them. It's going to be run in a lot of times. It's going to look pretty much like your independent sample, but in one respect, it's going to take away some assumptions that are not, you can use it in a nominal, you can use it in most quantified numbers, you can use it in if it's not normally distributed. So it's a pretty wide-ranging subject. Purpose of ChiSquared is a test to determine whether the observed value of the cells deviates significantly from the expected value of those cells. Expected value is what is there. I'm sorry, the observed value is what is there and what's in there, but there's an expected value based on the mean of all of them, of all of the values in the actual test. Bottom line is that it's the convention that if this value is less than 0.05, then the statistic is considered to be significant, meaning that the researcher can be 95% confident that the relationship between the two variables is not but due to chance. In this example, in the example that I had for this one, if it's, let's say, 0.576, which is greater than 0.05, we can say that there's a significant relationship or not. And in this case, there's not a significant relationship because it's above 0.05. If there's a large discrepancy between the observed value and the expected value, the chi-squared statistic would be large, suggesting a value of under 0.05, making it significant. Here is an example of the chi-squared box. Basically, it generally comes out in this fashion every time, but the Pearson chi-squared is what we're looking at. In this case, the value is 2.99, of course, rounded to the hundreds like you're supposed to. There's a DF of 1, and it's 0.084. That's assumption. I mean, the assumpted sig, which would be basically your significance. And because it's 0.08, it's above 0.05, it is non-significant. Crosstabs. Crosstabs are pretty cool, especially in our CBS, and we're going to stay within the CBS for your homework and then actually your project. So Crosstabs gives you the not so much the expected value, but the actual observed value of what each participant answered along the way by another dependent variable. Okay, so your dependent variable in most cases, in this one, will be job from the CBS or gender. And those are the easiest to look at as you're going through them. The dependent variable of a job, giving you an answer of yes, they had a job, or no, they had a job, did not have a job, is what you're looking at. And then we're going to look at a question, a couple questions within there. And basically what happens is as you have your theme of, let's say, reduced sense of accomplishment or personal reduced sense of accomplishment or devaluation or emotional exhaustion, you would then be looking at the questions that are given in that theme, those 5 questions, and you look and see what direction or what their real answer is. Before you know it was statistically significant or not, but now the crosstabs will and the chi-squared will tell you if there's a relationship between them and exactly how they answered. So you can kind of get a broad, it gives you a little narrower view of what the participants were talking about. Crosstabs is the most notable way to understand the actual data, which is in your survey, or the actual data in your questionnaire or whatever you're doing. The important numbers are the observed and the expected value based on the answer posted. Here is a crosstab for taking one or more part-time jobs this semester and an academic performance first semester. And of course, it's a cross-tabulation. You'll see on the one line you have yes, and one line you'll have no. Okay. On the top here, excellent, good, above average, and that's basically their GPAs. Okay. And below average. Bottom line is that you look at the numbers. So there's a word here called count. And that count, you'll see excellent was 12, good is 61, above average is 153, and then you have below average, which is 38. Okay, for the no, you say with no job, you had 3 that were excellent, 32 were good, and 94 were above average, and then you had 17 that were below average. You'll see that at the bottom here, there's a total counts on the bottom and the right hand side. So underneath it, you'll see there's a percentage, and that percentage is important because when you look at this, you have 58%, and that equaling out to 153, that is above average, and you have 94, which was 64.4% that were above average. So whether you had you would note that there was a higher number of people that were in the yes count than in the no count, but regardless of that, you had you have 58% in the yes and the 64.4 in the for. So you would talk about both of those in your statement, in your write-up, but you would also point to that more than half of the participants were above average, even if they had a job or not. So I mean, it tells you exactly what's going on. This is the ChiSquared write-up. So the ChiSquared write-up of independence was performed to examine the relationship between accomplishing many worthwhile things in college and whether a student has a job or not. Okay, again, the first sentence tells about what kind of test you're running and the two variables. The relation between the variables was non-significant. You see the X2? The X2 is your statement for telling us you're doing a ChiSquared. X is in italics. In the parentheses, 2 is the DF. N equals 30 equals, and then this is the Pearson squared, ChiSquared value. P is greater than 0.05. College students feel they can accomplish many worthwhile things in college and have a job. So in this section, we're going to talk about your first set of homework. And in the room, you'll see that there are 2 here for you. You have to do 1 more for your homework. I want to go over in detail some of the important things to look for on these, so you'll be able to do them directly, do the actual project right away and be completed with it. First off, this is the independent variable, which is I'm accomplishing many worthwhile things in college. Over here is the dependent variable, which is job. So we're looking at if I have a job or not, and is a job a factor in whether I believe I am accomplishing many worthwhile things in college. And you'll see that is a dichotomous variable of yes or no. Over here at the top, you'll see rarely, sometimes, frequently, and almost always. Those are the basic. Was only 4 answers of the 5, and you'll be able to derive an analysis from each one when you do this. Again, you'll see that the counts are here. It's not really marked on here because when it exports, sometimes doesn't put the word count. But the count of rarely is 1, sometimes 12, frequently 7, and almost always 5. And then for no, you've got 1, 2, 1, 1. Of course, it was a lot more people who had a job than didn't have a job. So we'll focus on yes in our write-up. Okay, so realistically, we had 12, which turned out to be 85.7% of the population who sometimes felt like they were accomplishing worthwhile things in college. So we need to know the 85.7, we need to know the 12, and we need to know sometimes. Okay, and then the next box down is your Pearson ChiSquared. Here is the value right here that you need to that you'll be reporting. Now it's 1.757, which we round up to 1.76. The DF is 3, and the significance, which the sig is the significance, is 0.624, which would make it non-significant. Okay? So if I move to the write-up, and I put the write-up next to it, for the question, am I accomplishing many worthwhile things in college, and gender, and that's wrong. So let's go, and do I have a job? A crosstab was performed. The results showed 85.7% of the population believes sometimes they were accomplishing worthwhile things in college while having a job. That covers everything in the top box right here. A ChiSquared test of independence was performed to examine the relationship between am I accomplishing many worthwhile things in college and whether a student has a job or not. The relation between these variables were non-significant, x2, and then you'll see the DF is 3, n equals 30, that's the total number of participants, 1 equals 1.76, and p is greater than 0.05, p being italicized. College students feel they accomplish worthwhile things in college and have a job. And that would be it. Now my analysis of this would be extremely simple. I would be looking at the sometimes they were accomplishing. If I was to write a simple analysis of this, in the data analysis the data which was and tongue-tied. In the data analysis, the students believed that they were accomplishing worthwhile things in college while having a job, period. Although the answers showed 85.7% sometimes felt that they were accomplishing things in college, the next highest number after was frequently, which was 7, which was another 87.5% of the population who believe they frequently experienced accomplishing things while in college and having a job, period. Therefore, more students believe that they were accomplishing worthwhile things in college than not, period. That's exactly what you're going to do for the next one down. You're going to look at the major numbers, and then you're going to use your significance value here and your value down here. Do the same write-up as over here, and you will have accomplished your homework. Your project stuff is the same way, and it's in the room, and you need to finish that and put that in your project under Crosstabs.